Commander Legends comes out on November 20th, a little less than a month from today, and we're right in the heart of preview season right now. The Commander community got absolutely rocked the other day when GTS Games Online previewed this monster of a card. It's a 3-mana 3/2 with flash that has two pretty incredible abilities. The first one says, you control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. The second one says that during that time, any card your opponent finds gets exiled. You can play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you can spend mana as though it were any color to cast them. I'm Jim, I'm your Spike on the mic, and today we're going to be talking about Opposition Agent. Just a quick note here that anything I say in this section is based on my current understanding of the comprehensive rules. There are release notes coming for this set a little closer to release day, and this stuff could change. These documents are awesome, and if you don't read them already, you definitely should. I want to start by this tweet from Matt Tabak. Let's break it down into parts. First, I want to talk about how multiple opposition agents affect the game. It's important to note here that opposition agent's effect is a continuous effect, not a replacement effect. So throw out everything you know about multiple Notion Thieves. This is not the same thing. Interactions between multiple continuous effects is covered under CR 613 using Magic's layer system. Specifically, let's look at CR 613.3. Within layers 2 to 6, keep in mind opposition agent's effect is in layer 2. Apply effects from all characteristic defining abilities first, then all other effects in timestamp order. This means that if player A is searching their library and players B and C control opposition agents, whoever's opposition agent came into play most recently will control player A during that search. It's pretty well established what you can actually do during someone's turn, but here's a quick rundown. For reference, these precedents are set by cards like Mindslaver, Worst Fears, and Emrakul the Promised End. You can perform any in-game action you'd normally be allowed to legally perform. You can look at the controlled player's hand and face-down cards if they're allowed to look at them. With opposition agents specifically, you're not really allowed to do a whole lot else, other than actually search their library. You only control opponents while they're searching their libraries, and the resolution of search effects usually happens while spells and abilities are resolving. The controlled player likely won't get priority or be asked to pay any costs during the resolution of those spells and abilities. There's one exception to this, Panglacial Worm, that pretty much exists as a way to break the ice with judges you don't know very well. If an opponent is instructed to search their library and another zone at the same time, as is the case with Boonweaver Giant or Doomsday, you control them and you'll be able to search those other zones as well. One last thing, you can't force them to concede, you can't force them to call a judge, and you can't look at their sideboard if you're playing with a sideboard rule. Some of the roughest things you'll see with Opposition Agent is when search effects instruct you to do something else in addition to just searching. Gamble is a poster child for this. Normally, you would search for a card, put it in your hand, then discard a card at random. If an opponent has an Opposition Agent in play, they'll search for your card, exile it, and then you still have to discard a card. Doomsday's still going to exile all the cards that you didn't search for, and fetch lands will still require you to shuffle your library when you crack them. Next up, I want to talk about how this card is specifically going to impact the cEDH meta. Keep in mind this is just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt, but honestly, I don't really think there's a lot to talk about here. I expect to see this card in nearly every deck that can run it, which is to say just about every deck in cEDH. It's not like you need an excuse to splash black or something. There's already a ton of reasons to do that. The impact that I see is that we're all just going to have to learn how to play around it. If you've ever been Aven Mind-Censored on turn 1 when you go to crack your first fetch of the game, you know it's a mistake that you'll probably only make once. If you're sitting across the table with somebody that leaves open 2 and a black on their first turn, just be really careful. It could be a blowout. This also unfortunately makes Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation as a combo more consistent because people can use Opposition Agent as an instant speed tutor for one of the 2 required pieces. I honestly don't think there's a whole lot else to say about it. This is the most powerful card they've printed for EDH since Dockside Extortionist, and we're going to see a lot of it. In lower power games, however, I don't see this becoming ubiquitous. It doesn't have the kind of splashy effect that tends to become really popular in Commander, like Craterhoof Behemoth or Avenger of Zendikar. And it also doesn't provide the grindy value that something like Smothering Tithe or Rhystic Study does when you're playing it at a table where people don't play a lot of tutors. I have seen a lot of people talk about Marilyn of the Mornsong as a potential combo with this card, but a version of that combo has been around for a long time with Stranglehold, and it's not an epidemic in EDH. It's totally possible that I'm wrong on this one, but I don't see Opposition Agent becoming a format staple and popping your Evolving Wilds in your Cultivates anytime soon. If this card pops up in your local meta and starts ruining your game or your friends' games, this is definitely an opportunity to talk to people about the types of play experiences you want to have. The type of player that runs this card to specifically ruin somebody's day is probably doing that in other ways as well, and this is a great launching point for a conversation about that. Overall, I don't see this card going anywhere anytime soon. I don't think it's going to get banned. It's very, very, very good, but this isn't the type of card that the Rules Committee really moves on quickly. Like Dockside Extortionist, its effect scales with the power of the table. That is to say that as people run more tutors, this card gets better. That also means that the table's capability of dealing with it increases, so I don't see this being extremely problematic. Again, it's going to be good, it's going to be popular at top-end power-level tables, but I don't think it's going to be problematic to the point where it needs a ban. Typically, I think that when people play at the top end of the power level of the format, their expectations are anchored in a different place as well, and that means that people are more accepting of this type of thing than they would be at more casual tables. I think Tim Willoughby put it best in his tweet when he said, "Some of the most dangerous cards to be legal in Commander are those that the caster doesn't think is a big deal, but that everyone else hates. They're the ones where the social contract is least effective, and likely where the RC gets the most aggro, so players don't have to." This is not me saying that annoying cards should be banned. That's a terrifying rabbit hole. I worry more about cards like Korvold, who's quite fun to go off with, but miserable to watch. The person with Static Orb or Armageddon can see that they're pushing it. The Korvold player? This could be that type of card, but I think it only gets there if it becomes extremely popular. If not, I think it becomes something like Drannith Magistrate where people are going to groan when they see it at a table, but it doesn't spark a week-long debate in the Rules Committee Discord channel. That's about all I have to say about Opposition Agent. Did I miss any weird rules interactions? How do you think it's going to play out in games of Commander at your table? Let me know in the comments below. I've been your Spike on the mic, and thanks for talking Opposition Agent with me today.
Hey, thanks for checking out the Spike Feeders on YouTube. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure you click that subscribe button. And you can click this link to check out our other great videos.